So, I made a video earlier about my migraines and narcissistic abuse and childhood trauma and how it's linked. And in the comments, somebody asked me about how memory loss is correlated with that. So, stay tuned because I'm about to break that down. So y'all guys know me. I went on another Google research spree, and this is what I find. The long-term abuse can change a victim's brain, resulting in cognitive decline and memory loss. In turn, the changes in the brain can increase the risk for chronic stress, PTSD, and symptoms of self-sabotage, which I've already told you guys I was a victim of all of that kind of stuff. And probably still am to a degree, but I'm healing. Let's keep going. So it doesn't hurt to just keep on asking questions on Google. And this was the next thing. As it says, people ask. So it's a lot of people that's asking. So I like to open each tab and read what I can and see how everything correlates with one another. So what are the symptoms of complex PTSD from narcissistic abuse? Symptoms of complex PTSD and narcissistic abuse include difficulties controlling emotions, imagining worst case scenarios, guilt, shame, feeling numb, zoning out, disconnected, disassociative. I was all of the above. Let's keep going. So we go down a little bit more and we say, what are the flashbacks of narcissistic abuse? You may also be experiencing flashbacks where you relive a very difficult or frightening memory and it feels like it is happening in the present moment. You might feel like the narcissist is right there with you and experience very real physical sensations such as a racing heart, sweaty palms, and nausea. This is what happens when you heal and you're going through shadow work. If you have childhood trauma and you are a victim of narcissistic abuse and you have PTSD, you'll go through all of this and you won't even know what's going on. You'll think you're having spiritual psychosis. You'll think you're experiencing spiritual psychosis. So now I want to connect the dots more. So I ask, what part of brain is damaged in narcissistic abuse? The damage to the amygdala. I'm pretty sure you guys heard of that part of the brain before. Of the victims of narcissistic abuse become trapped in a permanent state of fear and anxiety and react badly to environmental triggers that remind them of the violation by the narcissist. This means that victims of narcissistic abuse are constantly alert to the danger that does not exist now. And it's very true. When I moved from Baltimore to where I am now, it was really hard for me to understand how the people here were so damn friendly because I was so used to being in survival mode all the time. So let's connect it all back, like from part one of this video and how narcissistic abuse and childhood trauma and migraines are linked. Let's put it all together now. The amygdala is involved in non-receptive processing, emotional responses, and affective states such as depression and anxiety. Researchers have suggested that alterations in the structure of function of the amygdala might contribute to the worsening of pain and mood that coincides with the transformation of migraine. And what happens when your amygdala becomes triggered? The amygdala triggers a person's fight or flight response. This leads to the release of hormones that prepare the body to fight the source of danger or flee from it. Amygdala hijack occurs when the amygdala activates the fight or flight response when there is no serious threat to a person's safety. Now let's tie all of this together. Okay, so in conclusion, if you have experienced childhood trauma that was by a narcissist, which led by narcissistic abuse, then 9 times out of 10, if you're like me, suffer from migraines or anything like that, it comes from trauma. Sorry, change of scenery. Anyway, so if you have experienced narcissistic abuse as a child or any type of childhood trauma, then 9 times out of 10, like I was saying before, it's linked. Everything is linked. The memory loss, the PTSD is all linked. And this all goes back, like I was saying, to spirituality. And with all of the planets doing all of this retrograding and all of this stuff, the eclipse, all that kind of stuff that took place this year, and the solar flashes, it sometimes brings up some of that old energy, some of that old feelings. Or when people doing spell work or moon magic or any of those type of things on you, this is when you can feel in your aura through migraines. So it all connects, it all goes hand in hand, it all goes together. And now that I'm able to understand it on this type of level, it just makes it so easier for me to be able to combat them without medication, because now I understand how deep it is on a spiritual level for me to really protect my peace and protect myself. So I hope that makes sense. If you haven't seen part 2, go check out part 2 and how migraines and narc abuse are go hand in hand. TikTok, this video is for educational purposes only and protected by the First Amendment right of free speech. Removing, violating, or touching this video in any way is a direct violation of my right. So yeah, I hope this makes sense.